What's up, everybody? Dave the Car Guy. That's right. You know what time it is? Even though you can't tell by the sky, it is Shop Talk Live time. We're calling it the apocalyptic version. I'm sitting here with a friend of mine for quite a few years, Adam Rack. He's got many roles, we'll say, in this in the realm, in the space that we're in, and we're going to learn about quite a few of them today. So, Adam, I did some research on you because I know you for what I know you. You know, we're on the chamber board.
What did you find on the internet?
I can't say here because there's women and children watching, but no, we were on the chamber board together.
That's right.
And but your actual role, your position, your job path, career, Potomac International Partners.
That's right.
I did my research on that. Guess what? I still don't know what it means. So
I guess I better explain. So.
Let's hear what that means.
Sure.
What do you do, Adam?
So I've kind of done my entire career just like what government relations, kind of lobbying, advocacy, helping people kind of connect with government at all levels. So it's worked on Capitol Hill for 6 years for a member of Congress, got that experience, and then moved out here. I like to say I married well. I married into California. My wife's from San Carlos originally, and then have always kind of done that work, and it's now doing city council work. I know you haven't mentioned me for that, but that's on the city council here in San Carlos. It sort of puts my passion in a more volunteer space as well. So it's like I can't get enough of working with government around stuff. Nice. Politics. I love politics. Election night is like my Super Bowl. I sit
Adam and I are going to go to blows later.
So.
No, that's cool. I kind of got that impression from the website, but I remember sitting on the chamber board with you, and I was like, man, this guy's sharp with, just asking the right questions and, not saying probably the things that were in my head that I wanted to say, and that says something. I mean, you...
Although sometimes it's better to not say the things in your head.
Oh, for sure. It's a lot better
right.
not to say the things that are in my head.
But I found like when I worked on Capitol Hill, you'd sit there and you get lobbied by all kinds of interest groups and people, and you kind of have to take all the perspectives in and kind of formulate it and say, okay, well, here's the direction I would recommend for the member of Congress I was working for. Here's this stuff is kind of out of our realm, not what we're interested in, and kind of you have to take a 360 view, which is kind of an interesting thing. I guess we don't see that so much today in politics, but 20 years ago, it's kind of what people were looking at. Right,
because when you say lobby, I imagine like a bigger group. So I belong to a couple big, like automotive groups, and we go to lobby, right? Sure. And it's a powerful entity that may or may not be what the masses are, right? So you're working with lobbyists, and you imagine lobbyists sometimes is, vocal and, the almighty Benji. How does people in those positions try not to see the Benjis that are getting floated around or talked about?
It's, I think things have changed over the last kind of 20 years around that. There definitely was. It's interesting. This may be a good example, in the 90s, late 90s, mid 90s when I was there, you had a couple years where, oh my God, we got, a lot of lobbyists would say, oh, we've got tickets to this event. Do you want to go see this concert or go to this show or, sit behind the basket on, for a Warriors game kind of thing. And then it shifted to putting a lot of restrictions in. So you had to be more creative, right? You had to be smarter as a lobbyist and say, actually know what you're doing, right? So people do the political contributions, which has always sort of gone on and will continue to go on. But I think it just made people have to work harder, right? Which is good. And you look at someone like you were coming in and people care about what your issues are. They're going to want to talk to you and understand and get smarter and be better and make the right decisions, right? Yeah. And I don't know that I would say, someone taking you to dinner or lunch really influences you as a legislator or as a staff person, because you're there to do the right thing,
right? And
you're there to represent your member of Congress or your organization and do the right thing. And I think that yes, there's been bad examples, but I think it's some of it's overblown. I think 99% of the people are in public service to do the right thing, and always will be.
Oh yeah, it's like any job, I mean, we're in an industry where we have a bad rap as auto repair.
Sure.
It's no different. And
Right.
it really, I'm going to say probably at least 90-something% is
Right.
solid business people, professionals, ethical, and then you have the 1 or 2% that make everyone else look like
Right. It makes you have to work harder.
it makes us have to work very hard, right? I get it. So, Adam, what was your first thought when we had to go to shelter in place?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think I kind of expected that we were going to be in this for the long haul. It's interesting in San Carlos, at least in the local area, we were one of the first to kind of get hit with some of this because we had some of the cruise ship passengers that came in to stay at one of the hotels in San Carlos. So we were putting them up as they were sort of transitioning to be able to go home. And so I think we kind of started a little earlier than at some of the other places. But, doing my research, kind of looking around things, I felt we were in this for the long haul and trying to figure out how we as a community can adopt and adapt and be sort of deal with the new reality that we have. But it's been a challenge for sure. I think for everybody. I mean, just everyone personally, and then just looking at from the city business how things are. But I'm just glad we live where we do, and it's you kind of. I spent a lot more time. I have 3 teenage daughters, and being able to have them like stuck at home has been nice for the last 6 months. I'm not sure they've been as happy about it, but it's been good for my wife and I.
There's been a lot of pros and cons for this whole thing. Pros, a lot of families have been able to really get together, get close. Cons, a lot of families have really been able to get close and bond. Also, you and I probably know a whole bunch of business entrepreneurs that they're done, they're wrapped up. That's sad. That's very heartbreaking. We've been lucky enough to be open,
right?
But with people sheltering in place, we had to get creative on how to get work into the place to actually afford to keep people on payroll. But it's a strange time. It's a strange time. I'm looking forward to it being over.
Out of this, it's been. And we see I've seen from the city perspective, businesses that are coming and that are struggling have shuttered. I think a good example is we heard from some of the dry cleaners right in town. Like no one's going out, so this may be like the first time I've worn a dress shirt in a month, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not, those businesses, and I've found that some businesses who are trying to adapt and do more creative things are getting by, and then others are just struggling, and it's hard. And we're trying to do what we can as a city to help, and a county to, small business loans and other things to help. But there's only so much you can do at this point.
There's only so much dollars in the pot. That comes from us anyway, right? It comes from us workers, right? So we've given it to you, so to get it back, I don't know, it's kind of weird. So you were talking earlier about one of your daughters is in college.
Yep.
And now college is online. How does she feel about that?
It's been interesting. I think for her, she was actually going to take a year off because of COVID. And then once they decided to go all online, she felt more comfortable because she was going to go to school on the East Coast and felt like I got to go quarantine. I don't know if I get stuck there. I'd rather be at home. And so she's kind of just embraced it as this is the new reality right now. And she likes her classes, although the school's on the East Coast, so she's starting like at 6 a.m. So she's adjusted her sleep schedule and trying to adapt to things.
No more late night video
early
games
start, early start, early finish, and then gets to bed early these days. So
that's good. That's good. It's a good work ethic to have.
So we've done some. We decided this year to do some foster kittens. That's been our kind of coping mechanism for the kids. So we've done
foster
2 rounds
kittens.
Of that to get them for 6 to 8 weeks, and then send them back to SPCA, and they're adopted out. But it's been something different, right?
Is that hard to let them go?
It is. It's been hard.
It's
interesting. Kids get attached to them, and then we've had our second round. And I think the fact that they know that more keep coming makes them feel better. Right? It's not just. So it's been interesting. I think people are looking at ways to adapt and cope and get by in these times.
That's cool. Yeah. So being on city council, God, I feel like it was this year, but was it last year or was it the year prior? I can't even remember now. It flies by.
So I got elected in November 18.
18. Okay.
So it's getting on 2 years since I started pretty much. So
goes fast. Clearly,
it's been fast.
Where the gray comes from. So getting, I know when you were trying to get on council, we were advocates of Mr. Adam Rack. I knew you from sitting in on the chamber experience. Right. How has that been sitting on council for this cool city?
It's been interesting. This, especially coming into this year, we've had budget surpluses the last couple of years. We've been able to do the investments that we've wanted to do, and focus on some of the changes that are happening in this area, even in the economic growth that's happening and how we adapt to it. And I found I was on the school board beforehand, and this has been a different experience in that we do a lot more regional work as well. So, I will say, for example, I'm on the solid waste board, so dealing with sort of recycling, trash, composting, what we're doing to, do some interesting things that I never thought I would be doing, looking at policies about how we're taking the compost and turning it into energy, right? And how we're sort of being more environmentally friendly on some of these things. And so there's been some of this regional work that's been interesting to see what we're doing as a county. And at the same time, there's fascinating things as they're talking about maybe 2 million square feet of office space and corporate commercial space coming in on the east side of town in the next, 10 years, and how that's going to change for the community, what that means for us. Yeah. We need the housing to help kind of deal with it as well. So it's sort of building the housing, but still seeing the economic growth that's going to bring in the revenues for us. And we're tackling issues like childcare, and there's not enough childcare spots, and housing and transportation. It's been fascinating having to wear many hats on things. This year's been a lot about budget because of COVID, right? This year we had one budget meeting that we're in the whole $5.3 million as a city. And how do we make those changes and cuts, but still invest in the things we need to? Yeah. So it's been a fascinating process.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of governmental budgets have seen some impact over these last few months. Strategy for. So I actually have the benefit of being in a couple different counties, and it's very odd to see the dramatic difference in perspectives.
Right.
I feel like we're so tightly packed, and probably, which is a contributor to having to be really more cognizant of the rules or the whatever it is. But man, I also feel like the level of entrepreneurs and small businesses that are packed into this area, into this county, need to somehow get back to it, because that, in the end, is what makes everything going, right?
Right.
That's where a lot of tax dollars are coming from. It's where all the policies get created, because they have income, right? Just like us. We don't have income, nothing's changing. Matter of fact, we're thinning out some stuff. When do you feel like we need to start dabbling and trying to get back into opening businesses? Because I'm just trying to think of poor restaurants. Their guidelines are, they got this space in which we know how much San Carlos is to rent. They got a space this big. They've done their math. I need this many tables and chairs in there. Now I can only fill out a quarter of those. I either am going to have to charge 6 times the amount per meal with less people, or I just don't open and I keep eating my rent. That's a weird. I feel terrible for those people, and we know there's a lot of them up here.
Right.
How do you feel like the approach for trying to get us back out working and trying to be safe as we can on our own, and without the hand telling us this is what we need to do? Right. How are we gonna get through this?
It's been interesting. I think there's been some our county health officer has had sort of a different maybe mindset than the state has on some of these issues, and he's been pretty vocal on it, where, he thinks that, a lot of the restaurants and the businesses are, they're controlled, they're doing the right thing, and it's more the backyard parties that are causing the issues, right? It's like we've got these protocols in place, and if the businesses are following them, we should be more aggressive in opening them up, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the other stuff that is going unchecked that is causing the where we're still seeing the positivity rate grow and other things happen. And so, we have to get a plan and a path to get the economy back running and get these businesses open. We look, in San Carlos, we closed one block and we've got, parklets and trying to get the restaurants to get as much space as they can because they can have outdoor dining. And it's been great, but you look at a day like today, or, give this another month, 6 weeks, or start getting into cold and rainy season, and then they're going to be in a position of how they stay open, right? Yeah. And for us, that downtown is the lifeblood for our community and for what we're contributing. And for us, I look at our city revenue. It's sales tax revenue, so it's what you're doing here. It's what others are doing that help bring it in. Is the hotel tax, which has been dropped 85% for us. It's non-existent because people aren't traveling, businesses aren't traveling, and we have to find a path to try to do that and be supportive. So it's following the protocols, being safe, but it's finding that path that's to open things up and the
American way, I get. Maybe
it
we'll
is,
say.
and supporting those entrepreneurs that are trying to get back and trying to do things and get open again.
Yeah,
as best we can.
Think about it. These these entrepreneurs, they're a testament to the American dream, right?
Yep.
You can't open, but we can do something outside. These people are making stuff outside just to make S happen. It's incredible. I love seeing the drive of people just wanting to get back to it. I do feel like there comes a point where we have to go, look, man, we're the ones that are kind of getting this stuff rolling. We take all the precautions.
Right.
We should just let this roll and, let's keep an eye on the big parties or the big events that we're getting more, positive tests for, which I also should probably look into. What does a positive test mean? It's a weird thing. I try and do as much research as I can because I'm a Libra, so everything's got to be right here for me. And man, there's some stuff that just doesn't add up. I feel like we as just American entrepreneurs, we should have the right to, hey, I'm gonna protect people around me, but I gotta do what I gotta do, man. I got people to pay. I don't want them getting paid by the government, which was coming from me anyway, and it's coming from me more now. So, do you foresee any of that happening anytime soon, or revolt, or what's going to happen?
I don't know if I'd say revolt, but I think we're trying. In DC, they're trying to find the balance of exactly what you're talking about, where you've got one side really wanting to provide more government support, other side trying to say, okay, we need to cut back on some of that because we have to get people back to work and have a different mindset of we can't have people rely on the support too much. We need people to get back to work, getting jobs and getting paid there. And I think it's this fight that's going to happen for a while.
I think part of the issue, time, right? That's the beginning of time.
That's the beginning of time,
right?
But I think it's like partially we're trying to, you're doing the research on things, and we're finding out more and more information about COVID and things and what protocols we can take. The healthcare system's getting better at adapting and care, and so I think we're making that kind of progress that people are feeling hopefully more and more comfortable. Like, hey, it's okay to open these businesses up again. It's okay to take these next steps sooner than later because, like I said, at some point the economy keeps getting worse if we're not opening back up and doing things.
Which ends up being worse than the problem itself.
Right, and we need to find the right balance of things, right? We want to keep people safe, and we can't. A lot of this is not overloading the healthcare system, right? We can't all of a sudden have, 500 people get sick and have to be in intensive care in San Mateo County because we can't handle that overload. But we got to find the right balance of here's how we move forward with the economy and get things open and,
Yeah.
and do the right thing.
Yeah, we have to find. I feel like that we have to find that soon. This is very rough on the American people to sit in limbo instead of. And I'm be honest, entrepreneurs like me, I just want to line up a target and run through it, and that's
Right.
how I'm sure quite a few entrepreneurs are.
I think that's right. And there's you can see the examples of the creativity that's happening downtown here and some of the non-restaurants even. There's a few restaurants like the Reading Bug, and there's a couple others that, hey, they took that outdoor space and said, hey, we're going to shift our business out there and try to do things and be creative, and I think they're being successful doing that. So, and that's that sort of, we need to find more entrepreneurial, creative stuff that's happening to get these businesses back up and running.
Yep. Well, we do. I know we rely on our governmental policies and decisions a lot because that's why government's in place. I feel like there's got to be, and we know. I work for some government agencies. We know sometimes how slow they work.
Yes,
neutral or reverse sometimes. So we really got to try and either get to the right people to say, hey, you know what? We got to open up. We got to take our chances. We got to, we got to stay in business. We got to employ people. We got to pay our taxes. We got to pay our rent. You guys figure out what to do after that. Let us know what we can adjust if possible, because waiting for a decision is like, it's literally bankrupting. That's right. Rough.
Well, and I think you're starting to see some, the governor's got a new sort of structure out, and you're starting to see some things open back up, like, hair salons, they're allowed them to open back up again. And so we're sort of making that progress. Yeah. Hopefully that continues to go. And I think in the county, our last I checked, I think our positivity rate is going down. We're sort of trying to get to that next stage, and they've, the countywide, they've got a couple task force, and they're looking at kind of what they need to do to get the economy rolling and open again as they get more and more permission from the state to do that, because I think that's a focus. What can we be doing to help the small business owner and just business in general to get back to work?
Yeah. And I think ultimately that's, like you said, that's where we need to go. But I think it's the waiting for permission is what a lot of entrepreneurs are really grinding their teeth about, because we're in this not because we get to, it's because we can and we are. And I think the waiting for permission is something that doesn't bode well with, I'm going to guess, 99% of all entrepreneurs. I know it does for me. Right. Moving on to the chamber stuff. So you and I sat on a chamber board.
Yes.
It was a very cool experience for me. I think that was the first board I sat on.
Okay.
It was cool seeing the whole back end of how things kind of roll together. If I am not mistaken, San Carlos and Redwood City Chamber.
They just merged, or San Carlos kind of merged into Redwood City.
Okay, because Redwood City was pretty large.
That's right.
So financially, it probably made better sense to, share, I'm guessing. A new event, not a new event, but a new location of event popped up recently. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. So the chamber merged in, I guess, within the last couple of weeks, and hopefully that will be good for businesses on both sides, on both towns, and I think part of that, for that piece of it, was the San Carlos Chamber had been event driven in a long time, and then it's kind of hard to do events these days.
Yes.
Right. So some of those main ones, like the Art and Wine Festival and others that were big events, they're not happening anytime soon.
Yep.
But we were able to move the farmers market, which has been a showcase for the city and for the community for a long time, and it had traditionally been downtown. And this past Sunday for Labor Day weekend, we opened it for the first time right in this area, right down the street from you, in the industrial arts area. And I know I'm excited about it. I know they had a good, even with the heat, had a good turnout, and they have more and more vendors coming in every week for the next sort of couple months as they kind of try this experiment here. But it was great to also have the wineries and Devil's Canyon here and some of these other businesses to be able to showcase a part of town that maybe a lot of people don't see and haven't seen, and to see how cool it is down here and some of the awesome things going on here.
Yep. Well, I know
like
that
Tools Garage.
Yes, Tools Garage, which is not open on Sundays, just FYI yet. But yeah, this was some of the lobbying that we did when we created Yaba. We created the car show that we held down here because we felt like this area has a lot to offer. It didn't feel like San Carlos per se, because it is industrial. We kind of like it feeling industrial, but it still has a lot to offer.
That's right.
Doesn't mean it has to look like, Laurel Street with fancy lights and all that stuff. It's just cool the way it is. What makes it cool are all the really unique businesses around here. So the farmers market down here in the area, pretty much where we closed off for the car show, we already knew what kind of turnout we could get. We already knew how things could get laid out. So it's kind of neat that the farmers market's now down here, pretty much right in that same area where the car show was.
I think the more and more we can bring attention to this area, I think it's fantastic to get more people to kind of see what we have in San Carlos. And some of the, a lot of people will head right to downtown or certain, some shopping areas on the east side, but there's a lot more that we have to offer, and this is a good example of it. This area, just the businesses and the creativity that's here, and you've got the wineries and others and breweries, and we have a lot of different businesses to offer to showcase. So I'm hoping this will be, I'm confident this will be a big success, and keep this here and draw more and more people over here.
Yeah, weekly is for sure better than yearly. So, this area, as we call it, it's kind of like the daytime area. There's really not a lot going on at night, which makes it kind of unique. You go downtown, maybe not so much now, but it was always hard to find parking at night because that's where everything's happening. Down here, it's daytime. There's a lot of not parking during the daytime, but nights and weekends, man, it's wide open.
Right.
Parking is a non-issue. You can get in here, get your shopping done, jet right out. It's very well laid out for certain things, especially like a farmer's market, because you're on council. Parking is always the first question everybody's going to bring up. Well, I know you're going to build this thing, but we can't park anywhere, right? So
it is one of the big issues we definitely hear about over here is parking in town, and I found like Sunday, it was easy to park here for the farmers market. Plenty of space. It was great. We walked a block, and you turn the corner, you're like, oh my gosh, it's right here, and it was fantastic. And I think there's just tremendous potential for this area, and I think we want to keep working with the businesses here to kind of keep improving it and doing things. We did little things like get some trash cans down here. We're working on getting some more lighting. We want to get some of that sort of park at the end little area cleaned up, and kind of also maybe look at getting some crosswalk over on Industrial so that it's easy to get to some of the other businesses over there from here. So I think we want to, the fact that you have a business association is great because it's a point of contact for us to work with.
It's our lobby.
It's your lobby, but it's great because we can hear from one voice to say, hey, this is what Ayaba wants to do and is thinking of doing, and it's easier for us as council members to have that conversation versus having to walk up and down the street and say, well, okay, Tools Garage thinks this and this business thinks this. It makes a difference. 5 people, that's 5 different responses. Right.
How in the world are you ever going to get that right?
Right.
You're not. Liz asks, what local businesses are open right now they really want to support? We're advocate of trying to support these companies that are struggling as best we can. So what's out there?
So right now, most of the businesses should be open. Now that we've reopened hair salons, I think nail salons are open again. There's certain things that maybe, I think massage parlors and there might be a couple other random businesses that are closed. Some of the personal care services, I think nail salons, I'd have to go back and check, but I know that, restaurants are open, the stores are open. Some of them are doing just pickup. Some of them have limited number of people that can go into the store. They're because they're trying to follow protocols. But I even over here I've seen a lot of the across the TJ Maxx's and other places are open, but you got to stand outside in line to get in and
I just realized, Liz, we just asked a politician what place to go. You can't say. That would be cheating. Sorry about that.
But go try all the businesses.
Yeah, go try them all.
They're
There
all
you
there,
go.
but there's, retail, restaurants, and a lot of the other places are all open now, and you're open for business. And it's, like I said, you might have to be patient and wait in line to get in, but it's worth the wait.
Yeah, it is. Support as best you can. My wife and I are big cookers. We like to just make our own stuff. We like to buy and grow our own stuff. But I'll tell you, over the last 4 or 5 months, we order out a lot. We've been eating out a lot, and probably not as much as some people, but a lot in the eyes of how we do things, just to support. It, and even though you probably don't get the same experience,
Right.
and quite honestly, sometimes not even the same food, because by the time you get it home, it's not how it was when it was, fresh on your plate, but it's still supporting them, and that's ultimately the stage that we're in. We gotta help the people that may not make it through by, just donating. We have gift certificates for places that are no longer open, but we tried, right? So, so Dan asks, how can we support fire victims and the firefighters at this time?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, we haven't done anything specifically in San Carlos around it, but looking at I would check at the county website. That's a good place to start. We tend to kind of look up at the county. So a lot of the things that are happening that we've done for rental assistance, small business assistance, working on childcare, the county is doing a lot of that, and it's filtering down. So I would think the fire victims and firefighters can look at the same area, because we did have a portion of San Mateo County that was affected. It was, I think, I'd heard from some people at the county, the largest, most acres that have burned in San Mateo County in like 100 years. It's, so there's definitely people affected.
It's brutal out there
on the coast side, and and I know I would look at some businesses. I mean, not to tout any businesses, but I know I've gotten a coffee at Pete's, and they're, you can donate a pound of coffee for the firefighters that they'll send over to, where they're working and fighting fire. So there's probably some of the businesses around town or in the community that are doing their part as well.
So our local government says, go check them all, because you never know who's going to have something cool in there.
That's right. So
See?
there you go. And, we've got a community foundation as well. So that, there may be, through the San Carlos Community Foundation, that may be doing things around that as well.
Nice. Tevin asks,
oh boy,
how did you get into politics and why?
I can answer that question. I look at the politics side as two ends. I mean, one, I love politics, and I grew up sort of in a family that was very political. My dad was involved in politics, and so as a kid, I got toted around to all kinds of events and activities. And I also look at it so it's sort of a passion of mine. And then I grew up in a family that sort of community service was critical and important too. And so I'm an Eagle Scout, and so I've done a lot of community service from that. And I kind of feel like, someone said to me, go build a playground. I'd say, you got the wrong guy to go help you do that, but can you do something that can help?
Call Dave.
Right, call Dave, call somebody else. But, it's, can you contribute to the community by, being on the city council, volunteering, and being on the school board, or those things. That's kind of where I feel like I have my skill set to offer and to bring my passions.
Very cool. So we got another one.
Got a lot of questions over here.
So we got Tevin. Now we got Kevin.
Kevin.
All
right.
We'll wait for Kevin while I take a sip.
Okay.
The smoke outside is really rough. So I
had ash on my car, and I've got a black car, so it shows up pretty much.
My white car's a little brown, which is weird. So Kevin asks, what do you miss most pre-COVID for you and I?
So I think I've got two things for me. One, I love to travel, and so we had a bunch of travel plans for the summer and trips like that kind of got canceled. And I find those are awesome family times together and experiences. And so missing out on travel is one. And like you, Dave, I love to love to cook, but I also love to eat. So being able to like sort of go out, sit in a restaurant, and have that experience has been, something I miss as well.
Yeah, I miss going out and hanging out. In this world, we work our tails off in.
The smoke is brutal.
In hyper local. I mean, we're in it. I talk about a lot about going out into the community and being able to give back. That is non-existent right now. Other than, the individually trying to help people. I mean, there's no, I feel like there's something missing for me.
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's not like I'm out, politicking, but I like to go out and find where there's a need. I could build, I can fix, and when business is doing well, I get to donate, and I find that I miss a lot. I do miss that, and the experiences.
Right.
We didn't go out a lot to eat. But when we do, we'd round up a different set of friends each time, and we would go out and just find a great place, and just the experience of being there and, sharing time with people and, talking about stuff. We have many friends who sit on the opposite end of the table from us in thought processes, but sometimes it's just fun to just get out in there and, wrestle it out on the table while over good food and wine. And I miss that. And, I traveled a lot for automotive stuff.
Right.
And as much as I started to not like it because it wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be always on a plane, I miss it. I do miss it. I miss going out and seeing the people that are just like me,
right,
struggling, doing well or whatever. I miss that. That's truly what I miss. Emily, she asks, what's the best way for young people to get involved in the community? That's a great question.
It's a great question. And it's hard right now with, all these challenges we have, but I think there are some good opportunities. We have a youth advisory council in San Carlos, so that's a good way to kind of work on things and look at, I know teens in particular are struggling in terms of, can't go to out to the movies, can't do some of the things that you normally would do. And so, there's that piece of how do we get creative around helping our youth get, engaged and be able to be social and get out of the house and not sit in front of the screen all the time.
Yeah.
But I think one interesting way to kind of get involved in the community is, so we have a nonprofit here called One Life Counseling. There's a lot of different kind of services, but one of the things they do is they do food and clothing distributions every Friday morning. And so they're always looking for volunteers. They are right, I'm trying to think the street. So they're right off San Carlos Avenue, that they do some distributions by the Shell station there. So you can contact One Life Counseling. I've been there to help volunteers one time, and tons of teenagers, kids there helping out. And I think it's a good, fulfilling experience to help do that. So there's ways to look around and see where you can help volunteer and support in the community and get engaged and do your part.
We'll post that up on our, we remake it. We put some of our call signs,
Right.
we'll put some of that verbiage up on the page. I know we have another question, but I want to touch a little bit more on the farmers market.
Sure.
So, one under the belt.
Felt
like it went pretty good. I know that a lot of the people that were the vendors that were up here have returned.
That's right.
And there's some newer vendors. Any insight as to what level of farmers market this is going to turn into?
Yeah, I think the nice thing is, we had the first one was a long weekend, right? And so I think and we're getting started. So what I've heard from the chamber and from folks is that they're expecting more and more vendors, every week coming in. I saw a new one this week, which I hadn't seen before, with a person who had some homemade chili, right? So you had some different prepared foods and things. I think my one daughter got some of the juices, and she said it was some of the best juice she's ever had, right? So it's there's some really fantastic vendors. I will say the tomatoes I got right now are in season, and they are amazing to die for that you want to just, I'm waiting for next week to go buy more of them. But I think we're going to see more and more coming in. And I think the nice thing is you've also got, I stopped at one of the wineries and had a chance to kind of chat with the owner, and he's got you can buy 5 sample bottles of wine to test and see what's your favorite kind. So for a cuvee. And so, there's, I think, some interesting things that you maybe didn't have downtown. You've got these businesses here that can be showcased. And the nice thing is we have so much space, right? So the market can continue to grow.
Yes, we do.
In the space. So, while you had part of Bayport and Varian, that area can grow as more and more vendors come in. So it's I think a unique opportunity for the farmers market.
For sure, because actually this coming week Saturday would have been Industrial Arts Horsepower Car Show. Super bummed.
Yeah.
Super bummed it's not going to happen.
Great show that you guys did.
We were looking forward to someday seeing, car show, very next day, farmers market. That was very cool.
Next year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next year. Travis asks, what are some tips to becoming an entrepreneur? Any resources locally?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question.
Really
I don't know.
Good question.
I'm trying to think if I've got some good answers for that. I don't, nothing comes to mind off the top of my head, but I would think that I know the state has a organization called Go Biz, which is supposedly to help businesses get started and help support businesses in the state. I would guess again the county might have some resources, and there's organizations like SAMCETA that are business organizations that might be able to connect. And I always think sort of when you can get involved, because you can join the Chamber of Commerce without having a business yet, right? So you can start talking to other businesses and learn. So someone could, talk to you, Dave, and understand what it's like to start a business and to, start a repair business, an auto business, and maybe you talk to somebody else who's got a retail place or a restaurant. And so those kind of things to kind of network and connect are good opportunities to get tips and hear from people who've done it before.
Yeah, and that pretty much says it all. I think I might go a little even more primal than that, Travis. I think it all starts with that area between the ears. You know what kind of talent you may have, and if you can see how that fits a need for the public or a niche of some kind, that's where entrepreneurship starts. Then all I will tell you is grab a piece of paper and draw out a little plan in your mind. How will this work, and what will I need? You'll be surprised at how basic that can be to start off. And if it ends up where you're, a young person and you're like, wow, I need $10,000 to start this thing. Well, if you're good, you will be able to go beg, borrow, and finagle, because that's what great entrepreneurs do. And then let her rip. Then find somebody in your peer group. Find somebody who's kind of in business that they could be a role model. Man, just go for it. Failure is how you succeed. So be prepared. So Lou asks, are you hiring, Dave? We're always hiring, Lou. Always hiring. Got location number 2 already rocking and rolling, and who knows, number 3 or 4 in the works. How do we best connect? You could reach out there on Facebook. You can use our instant message feature, or you can do a contact us form on our website. Or if you know me personally, you can reach out to my cell phone. So, Adam, how do people, I know you work for a company, how do people who are interested in politics and want to learn how government works go further?
Well, I think one thing you can do is...
I'm still trying to figure it out, by the way.
email me. I'll happy to talk to you at my city email address. I'm happy to talk to people. I always like to pay it forward. I think that's important to do. For me, I started out. I mean, I interned right when I went to college in D.C. I interned on Capitol Hill, so I got to kind of get a sense for what it was, whether I liked it or not. And so, I think it's no different than some of the maybe the entrepreneurial stuff that you talk about. It's you got to think about what you want to do the research, and like see how you can get a mentor, do an internship, and get involved in a program. I mean, there's always sometimes campaigns going on, right? That's a short term, hey, let's go campaign on whether it's a parcel tax here for the schools or someone who's running for office, that you can get that experience and see if it's something that's of interest and that you like. But I think that's a good way to kind of test the waters but talk to people and figure out, it's, to me, it's like I find a passion for certain issues, like you find that you become more enamored with, whether it's you like housing, you like the environment, you like transportation. There's all these, lobbying organizations that are involved doing it, and, see how you can get involved with one of those as well.
Does your company, drawing a blank right now, does your company help people understand that space, or what is your company actually?
Yeah, so we tend to, we do a range of stuff with clients. So we have some people who say, hey, I'm interested in selling to the federal government. How to help us navigate how you sell to the federal government. Or it's, hey, we're trying to get our business to expand into California. Help me how to, understand the process of doing that, navigate some of the problems. And some of it maybe we've had, I do a lot of work on kind of cybersecurity. We've had clients doing cybersecurity, and it's, hey, there's this issue that's going to impact our business in a negative way because it's, let's just say the government wants to have access to backdoors to all our customers. And
right.
You say, well, we can't do that because that's obviously that gets into customer trust. That's not going to be safety. It's going to be less secure overall. And so I'm being able to lobby those government officials to explain why that's a bad idea and why that's going to hurt American businesses. So that's sort of the kind of types of things that we do.
So that's what Potomac International Partners is. Oh, very interesting. And that's something that you wouldn't think of, that's a company's job to do that. That's pretty interesting.
And
very
it's
cool.
but it's similar, like it's a lot of it relationships, right? It's just like if you're doing sales or relationships, you got to build those relationships with who you're lobbying, with those staff or the government decision makers, and build that trust that you can talk to them and have those relationships with the customer, with your client coming in to talk about the challenges that client is facing and how government can sort of be a partner with that.
Very cool. So Luis asked, what's your dream car, Adam?
Oh my gosh. Do I confess on the car show that I'm not a huge car person?
Like I told the last person, if you say Prius, we're going to have some words. No.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody's got to have a childhood favorite.
It's interesting. My dad always talks about the 66 Mustang he had that he wishes he never sold, and
a lot of guys
and did that stuff. So I missed that window, but I don't know. It's interesting. I've always been kind of a bigger car person. I guess I've kind of got a SUV now. I've had small cars, big cars, and I guess I want to go back at some point, get a convertible that's standard that I can have fun with. And
there you go.
And that's I'm open to, Lou, tell me the brand I should get, what I should get. But
so you either want a convertible that's opened up, top down, and you step on the gas and it goes like this, or you get something that.
That's what I want.
Okay,
I want
there we
something
go.
with some kick, and I want a convertible that's going to do that for me. So that's it.
Says he's not a car guy, but deep down we all are. That's awesome. So Adam, how can people find you? How can they reach out to you on city council if they have questions? They want to see stuff happen in the community. How do they find you?
A couple different ways. One, you can just email me directly on the city council. There's a city council website, or it's ARAK at San Carlos citycouncil.org. Or cityofsancarlos.org, sorry. And
We're going to rewind that.
Let's go back. ARAC at cityofsancarlos.org. And you can also get it on the website, the San Carlos website, and you can actually email from there. You get all the city council email addresses, so that's a good way to do it. And I have a Facebook page as well, so you can like that Facebook page and reach me that way for my city council Facebook page.
Very cool. Well, Adam, we made it through. I know our video production team was freaking out when I said I have somebody who's, into politics and all that stuff. They're like, dude, no, not you. See, I am PC. Matter of fact, I might try and get together with Adam and see how I can run for something.
There you go.
You never know.
We're always looking for good people.
Adam, it's been awesome.
It's been great.
Air Pump. Reach out. Support your local businesses. Let's get them going. If you have questions about anything going on in the city, email Mr. Rack. And, any car questions or anything else of that nature, reach out to Dave the Car Guy, who's signing out.